Born in 1918, Eugene Smith was an American photographer from Wichita, Kansas, specializing in ethically evaluative photographic essays. He began his career at the age of 17 working for a local paper. He soon moved to New York, where he worked as a freelance photographer capturing images of a country preparing for the onset of the Second World War. Through his career, Smith created photo essays with a humanistic perspective, documenting war, the Industrial Revolution, and social unrest. He is credited with developing the standard for which photojournalism is now measured. This image of women assembling gas masks is both explanatory and ethically evaluative. It depicts the time when women entered the workforce, as most men had been drafted into the armed services. The top-down perspective and side lighting emphasizes the women's focus on the task. All of the subjects seem to portray a somber mood, and one could almost sense the quiet in the room and that little conversation was taking place. Smith was well known for his work as a war correspondent working for Life magazine, where he accompanied Marines on the front lines of the Pacific Theater, hopping from island to island and capturing the grueling images of war. This image is of an armored tank fixed with a flamethrower used to incinerate enemy fighters entrenched in the networks of underground tunnels. Smith questioned the use of such painfully deadly weaponry and uses his skills as a photographer to portray this message. The rule of thirds is utilized, with the tank in the bottom right of the image, with the flames pulling your eyes towards the top left of the screen. The bright light of the flames contrasts against the surrounding scorched earth, emphasizing its dominating power on the battlefield. Black smoke pillows in the background as a result of previous attacks. Smith captured many images of the harsh conditions of war, including many of the casualties and deaths suffered by U.S. troops. This image of two soldiers burying one of their fallen comrades while another keeps guard in the rear is ethically evaluative. Again, the rule of thirds is utilized, with the main focus of the image towards the bottom third and the rubble of the previous battle shown in the background. The backlighting used in this image helps to portray the passing of time and life that is the essence of the photograph, as well as casting the man in the rear in full shadow, eliminating his face and thusly his emotion from the image, emphasizing the emotional numbness and strain so many soldiers are left to deal with. Eugene himself was injured during a mortar attack while on the island of Okinawa in 1945, the last year of the war. He then returned home to America to recover and continue his work. Once returned to the States, Smith continued his humanistic approach to photojournalism. One of his more famous works during this period was of a 3-year-long project capturing images in the Pittsburgh area during the time of the Industrial Revolution. Smith focused much of his work on the working conditions in the factories of the area. This particular explanatory image is of a steel mill. The high-perched perspective gives an overlooking view of the scene. Diagonal lines of the molten hot steel draws attention up the image to where steel workers stand in their minimally protective gear. The light produced by the freshly poured ingots contrasts against the soot-covered factory floor, portraying their importance above the workers themselves. During his time in the States, Smith completed multiple essays, including Country Doctor and A Man of Mercy, though he would eventually take his career to Japan in 1959, where he would finish his career. The last essay, titled Minanada, brought global attention to an epidemic of mercury poisonings occurring in Japan caused by the spilling of heavy metals by Shishko Company, who actually threatened his life for exposing them. This famous photo depicts a mother bathing her child affected by the Minamata disease. The above perspective alludes to the subject's lack of power, while the soft, top-down lighting and stillness of the bathwater portrays the mother's soft and loving touch. and acceptance of her child.